Once upon a time, in the bustling capital of Zimbabwe, Harare, lived a man named Maxwell Chikumbutso. This is the story of a man who rejected $20 million twice, shocking the entire United States. Maxwell was not just any ordinary person. He was an exceptionally brilliant engineer. Ever since he was a little boy, he exhibited a remarkable curiosity about how things worked. This insatiable curiosity led him to become one of the most extraordinary inventors of our time. He specialized in creating devices that seemed almost magical. One of his most famous inventions was a radio that required no batteries. It drew power from thin air itself, defying conventional understanding. Another remarkable creation was his self-flying drone, capable of soaring through the skies without needing to constantly refuel. These inventions left many scratching their heads in disbelief. How could he achieve such feats without massive amounts of funding? Undeterred by skepticism, he pressed on with his experiments. He developed generators that didn't rely on the power grid and even built a car that ran perpetually without ever needing to charge. These incredible machines drew attention not just within Africa, but also across the globe. His fame eventually reached the shores of the United States, where a few individuals caught wind of his extraordinary abilities. Soon, behind closed doors, a plan was hatched. A plan that involved a hefty sum of money, millions of dollars that could change the course of Maxwell's life forever. But these overtures were not rooted in genuine admiration for his talent. Oh no, there was a darker motive at play. The Americans wanted control. They wanted to possess Maxwell's ingenious inventions, burying them away from the rest of the world. Unbeknownst to Maxwell, a trap was being laid for him. The Americans intended to lure him into a false sense of security, to get him to reveal his secrets willingly, thinking they were forging a partnership. Their strategy was simple, yet effective. A group of seemingly ordinary citizens from America approached Maxwell, claiming to be admirers of his work. They spoke of investing in him, of providing him with the financial backing he needed to take his inventions to the next level. It sounded too good to be true, and it was. These men were far from ordinary. They were special agents sent by the U.S. government. Their admiration was feigned, their investment a lie. They were there to steal Maxwell's technology, to siphon the genius from his mind. But Maxwell, wise and cautious, saw through their facade. He sensed their ulterior motives lurking beneath their fabricated smiles. He could tell they weren't genuinely interested in fostering his brilliance. They wanted to own it, to exploit it for their own gain. The agents, confident in their deception, laid out their plan. They promised him access to unlimited funds, resources that would enable him to build anything he desired. Maxwell listened patiently, his mind racing, piecing together the puzzle they so carelessly presented. When they finally unveiled their offer, he knew it was a trap. They wanted him to relinquish the rights to his inventions in exchange for untold riches. But Maxwell wasn't one to compromise his principles for material gain. With a calm demeanor, he declined their offer, politely yet firmly shutting the door on their deceitful scheme. This unexpected refusal sent shockwaves among the agents. They had anticipated compliance, not defiance. Maxwell's decision not to give in to their demands baffled them. Why would someone turn down such an enticing offer? They couldn't comprehend the depths of Maxwell's resolve. He wasn't motivated by money or fame. He was driven by something far more profound. He wanted his inventions to remain his own, to be shared with the world without the shackles of ownership. Maxwell realized that if he agreed to their terms, his inventions would become tools of control, weapons in the hands of the powerful. He refused to be a pawn in their game. The agents, dumbfounded by his steadfastness, returned to the drawing board. They had underestimated Maxwell's resilience, his unwavering commitment to his ideals. They had thought money could buy anything, but they were wrong. Determined to secure Maxwell's inventions, the U.S. government devised a new plan. They would use more subtle tactics, offering him incentives veiled as opportunities. The second offer was presented to Maxwell in a luxurious boardroom filled with men in expensive suits. Numbers and graphs covered the walls, symbols of the financial prowess that these men represented. They laid out another enticing proposition, one that promised even more wealth and recognition. But behind the veneer of professionalism, their true intentions remained unchanged. They sought to acquire Maxwell's inventions at any cost. This time, they sweetened the deal with promises of international patents and awards. They claimed to want to help him refine his work, to polish his inventions to perfection. But their grand vision was nothing but a mirage, a way to lure him into a false sense of security. What they truly desired was complete control over his genius, a monopoly on the extraordinary. Maxwell, however, remained unfazed by their sophisticated tactics. In his heart, he knew the value of his inventions, not just in monetary terms, but in terms of the positive impact they could have on the world. He couldn't allow them to become tools of oppression or instruments of war. Once again, he rejected their offer, standing firm in his refusal to compromise. This resounding no echoed through the boardroom, shattering the illusion of partnership they had so carefully constructed. For the men in suits, this was more than a business setback. It was a blow to their national pride. How could they, the epitome of American excellence, fail to persuade this African inventor? In the high-rise buildings of Manhattan, whispers turned into murmurs. The failure to secure Maxwell's inventions was a stain on their reputation. They had to find a way to bend him to their will. Maxwell's rejection was more than a personal triumph. It resonated across Africa, inspiring a wave of pride and unity. People saw in him a symbol of resistance against Western dominance, a beacon of African ingenuity. He became a rallying figure, uniting people across the continent who were tired of being overshadowed by Western narratives. His story spread like wildfire, carried on the winds of change sweeping across Africa. People began to take notice of the extraordinary talent hidden in plain sight, the brilliance that had been overlooked for far too long. As Maxwell's influence grew, so did the threats. His life was no longer his own. Secret services shadowed him, their presence a constant reminder of the danger he had courted. One evening, he noticed unfamiliar cars parked near his home, their tinted windows concealing watchful eyes. His phone was tapped, his emails intercepted. He was trapped in a web of surveillance. The agents, desperate to retrieve what they had come for, escalated their tactics. They resorted to intimidation, sending menacing messages that shook him to his core. Friends warned him of the perilous path he was treading, urging him to reconsider his stance. But Maxwell remained resolute, his determination fueled by the desire to protect his legacy and uphold his values. His bravery was tested, his resolve pushed to its limits. But Maxwell stood firm, a lone warrior battling against the machinations of a superpower. Yet amidst the turmoil, hope flickered. Other nations began to take interest. Among them, China emerged as a potential ally, offering not just financial support, but also state-of-the-art facilities and global partnerships. The Chinese delegation, led by a charismatic official, expressed admiration for Maxwell's work, recognizing its potential to revolutionize energy production. They proposed a collaboration, an exchange of knowledge and resources that could propel his inventions to new heights. For Maxwell, this offer held promise, but he remained cautious. He had learned from experience that appearances could be deceiving. He had seen how nations could disguise their true intentions behind a veil of diplomacy. He engaged in lengthy negotiations, carefully scrutinizing every clause, ensuring that his autonomy and intellectual property rights were safeguarded. Maxwell's journey was a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will. Despite the pressures, the threats, and the temptations, he held firm to his principles, becoming a symbol of resilience and integrity. In the end, it wasn't just about money or power. It was about staying true to oneself in the face of overwhelming odds. As the world watched, holding its breath, Maxwell prepared for his final stand. He had meticulously documented every aspect of his inventions, anticipating the very scenario he now faced. He had hidden his secrets in plain sight, leaving clues that would lead the world to his discoveries if anything ever happened to him. With a heavy heart, he released his blueprints and prototypes to the public, entrusting his life's work to the hands of humanity. Maxwell's actions sent shockwaves around the globe. His sacrifice became a rallying cry for those who valued truth and authenticity. When the dust settled, the world was changed. Maxwell's legacy lived on, not in the boardrooms of corporations, but in the hearts of people who admired his courage and conviction. He might have lost his life, but his ideas soared, becoming the cornerstone of a new era in energy independence. Some things are worth fighting for, even if it costs you everything, because sometimes the greatest wealth is the freedom to choose. And that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. See you tomorrow.